Hello and welcome to our newscast. I'm Daniel Che. Let us begin first with the headlines. President Park Geun-hye meets with lawmakers who represent the location chosen for THAAD in response to protests from area residents who fear potential health hazards. The UNSC holds an emergency meeting to discuss countermeasures against North Korea's latest provocation. A strong press statement could be adopted unless China objects. Heatwave warnings are issued in most parts of the nation, and the mercury hovers near the 40 degrees Celsius mark in the concrete jungle. Now, as part of efforts to soothe angry citizens in Seongju County, where the THAAD battery is to be stationed, President Park Geun-hye says an alternative location could be considered. The search, however, will be limited to areas within that county. Song Ji-sun has our top story.
President Park Geun-hye met with lawmakers from a ruling Saenuri party who represent the area chosen as a location for a THAAD missile defense system battery. The lawmakers, who represent Daegu, Gyeongsangbuk-do Province, and Seongju, the prospective THAAD location, said area residents are deeply concerned about the health and safety risks presented by the radar, which they say could penetrate downtown Seongju if THAAD is deployed to the designated location. President Park said if there are any alternative locations the county can recommend, the government will thoroughly research them and share the results with Seongju residents. A potential relocation would be limited to within Seongju County, but Seongju residents have said they are willing to accept an alternative.
As for deploying THAAD, lawmakers asked the government to listen to local public sentiment and set the base for national security, public safety, and toward unification of the two Koreas through a trust-building process on the Korean peninsula.
Seoul's defense ministry said it will undertake the research upon a request from the Seongju County office, although its previous review of other locations in the county had shown Seongju to be the best candidate. President Park also called on local politicians to practice politics that the people want, while ruling party lawmakers vow to pass legislation to boost the local economy and create jobs. Song Ji-sun, Arirang News.
The country's three main political parties are mired in a war over that missile defense system. The opposition bloc voiced strong objections, while the ruling party insists it's the only option to deter North Korea. Kim Young-gil tells us more.
The ruling Saenuri party has launched an internal task force to address the THAAD deployment. The issue has become an ongoing source of discord within the National Assembly, as the rival parties address the pushback from residents in the designated location of Seongju.
Our party has established a task force on THAAD. It will work with Seongju residents and the local and central governments.
Kim said the task force's top priority will be to gather public opinion on the issue. It will also hear opinion on how to deal with the ongoing threats from North Korea's missile provocations. The main opposition Minju Party of Korea, which opposes the THAAD deployment, said President Park Geun-hye should have met with Seongju residents before her meeting on Thursday with dozens of lawmakers who represent the area.
The president should have met with the angry Seongju residents first. If the government can't persuade them, then the government's security policy is not legitimate.
The minor opposition People's Party said it is against anything that goes against South Korea's national interest.
We oppose THAAD, North Korea's provocations, and China's diplomatic discourtesy and trade retaliation.
The interim leader also said by deploying THAAD, South Korea is putting the Korean peninsula in a precarious position, economically, diplomatically, and in terms of security. The opposition parties are demanding the creation of a parliamentary committee on THAAD, but the ruling party has already voiced its objections to that, which could mean the political impasse over THAAD will continue for some time. Kim Young-gil, Arirang News.
The UNSC holds an emergency meeting in New York to address North Korea's ballistic missile launches. The U.S. is seeking to send a strong, unified message to the regime, but tension with China over THAAD could make it a challenging process. Connie Kim looks into the international efforts to rein in Pyongyang.
Members of the UN Security Council held an emergency meeting on Wednesday in New York to discuss a response to North Korea's provocations. Pyongyang fired 2 missiles from South Hwanghae province on Wednesday, with one falling into Japan's exclusive economic zone for the first time. The members have reportedly condemned North Korea for violating the UN Security Council resolution that bans the regime from launching ballistic missiles. Shortly after the meeting, the UN spokesman gave voice to the concerns about the North's continuing provocations.
I think the fact that it reportedly hit into the exclusion economic zone of Japan is indeed deeply troubling. And again, I think the Secretary General, as I've just said, would reiterate and renew his call to the DPRK to halt any such activities, which are clearly not conducive to reducing tensions on the Korean Peninsula.
South Korea's ambassador to the UN called the launch a clear and present danger, noting that the series of missile launches in recent months have been carried out to allow the North to upgrade and refine its missile technologies. The UN Security Council has held emergency meetings following previous North Korean ballistic missile tests, but it failed to adopt a press statement back in July, with China reportedly raising opposition to the draft statement in protest against the U.S.-South Korea decision to deploy the THAAD missile defense system to the Korean peninsula. The U.S. is set to circulate the draft statement to UN Security Council members, but whether Beijing will agree remains a question. China's ambassador to the UN has reiterated Beijing's stance that anything that raises tensions on the Korean peninsula will not be allowed. Connie Kim, Arirang News.
On this day last year, landmines planted by North Korea in the demilitarized zone severely wounded the South soldiers, promptly escalating tensions on the peninsula. A ceremony was held to mark the anniversary of that attack in Paju, north of Seoul. Kim Yeon-bin takes us there.
Two landmines set off on the ceasefire line located in the demilitarized zone between the two Koreas. Following the explosions, South Korean soldiers are busy evacuating the injured to a secure area. This is a partial footage of a landmine attack by North Korea that took place on August 4th of 2015. 1 year later, a ceremony marking the first anniversary of the incident was held in Paju on Thursday. Army Chief of Staff Chang Jung-kyu and other military officials encouraged and expressed their gratitude toward the 8 soldiers that were involved in the reconnaissance duty on the day of the attack. The landmine blast severely injured 2 cadets, with 1 soldier losing both legs, while the other lost 1.
Our names can be forgotten, but not the fact that North Korea was behind the landmine attack. Besides what's happened to us, there have been other ongoing North Korean provocations, so I hope our troops counter those firmly and with a strong sense of duty.
On the location of the attack, a day before the anniversary, the South Korean Army unveiled a tactical reconnaissance drill. The drill was led by Sergeant First Class Chung Kyo-sung, who was also the reconnaissance team leader during the day of the attack. Chung gave a strong warning towards Pyongyang that any infiltrations in the future will be paid dearly.
The enemy will show again for sure, but when it does, we will retaliate 1,000 times stronger.
The anniversary of the landmine attack was a solemn reminder that North Korea could launch an attack at any given moment, as the two Koreas are technically still at war. Kim Yeon-bin, Arirang News.
Turning to other stories now, Volkswagen sales in Korea plunged last month, fueled by the effects of protracted scandals. Its prospects have dimmed further as customers are furious over a recent sales suspension. Lee Min-young has the latest on the German auto giant's predicament.
Sales of Volkswagen cars in Korea nosedive in the month of July, clobbered by the automaker's emissions and noise test scandal, as well as the expiration of a consumption tax cut program in the previous month. Data released by the Korea Automobile Importers and Distributors Association on Thursday shows that only 425 Volkswagen cars were sold in July, a near 86% drop from the same month last year, when 3,000 units were sold. It's also just shy of a 77% decline from the month of June. Sales figures for the German automaker's other luxury car brands, Audi and Bentley, also took a tumble, with Audi posting a drop of 42.5% on year, while Bentley's sales sunk by almost 62%. On top of that, complaints have been growing among customers who bought vehicles said to have come with faked emissions and noise test documents. One group of angry customers has already put a class action suit into motion.
We will file a lawsuit against Volkswagen to ask for refunds of the purchase price of the problematic vehicle models. Later on, we'll expand the litigation to demand proper compensation for dropping used car prices of the Volkswagen models.
Some consumers have even filed a petition against the government asking for product exchanges, arguing that their sales contract with the German automaker should be considered fraudulent. Earlier this week, Seoul's Environment Ministry suspended sales and revoked the certifications for over 80 submodels sold by Audi Volkswagen Korea. The government has also slapped fines of $16.05 million on the German carmaker. Lee Min-young, Arirang News.
Select diesel cars will be banned in Korea starting next year as part of plans to cut fine dust levels. The Environment Ministry says the ban will be implemented in Seoul first, then it will expand to 17 cities in 2018 and the rest of the Seoul metro area in 2020. The program will apply to diesel cars registered before 2005 that either haven't gone through comprehensive testing or have failed the tests. Cars ordered to reduce pollution levels will also be banned if the problem isn't fixed within 6 months. If caught, drivers could be slapped with fines of up to $180 each time and up to $1,800 maximum. The Environment Ministry is seeking to cut ultra-fine dust emissions by about 1,000 tons by 2020. That's about 30% of the amount emitted annually in the Seoul metro area. All eyes are on Rio as the 2016 Olympics begin this week. Let's get some updates on what the atmosphere there is like with our Shin Se-min, who is at the host city.
Rio, the city of samba, one of the most famous tourist destinations in the world for its postcard-perfect views, is in full-on preparation mode as the first South American city to host the Summer Olympics. Counting down to the big opening ceremony, Rio hasn't seen this many tourists in years, maybe ever.
Not at all. No, you always got to be positive in life, and things always happen for the better. So I don't even worry.
Despite the excitement, Rio and Brazil in general still face a mountain of problems. Political instability, violent crime, and Zika are the main concerns among visitors from overseas and even residents of the city.
Yeah, we have the security increasing a lot at the time because we are worried that the violence will increase now because of all the people that are coming here right now. So the security will increase a lot. We have the armies, we have more police here just because of the events.
The Brazilian government is taking extra security precautions, especially in light of the rising number of terror attacks around the world. Brazil's defense ministry says 85,000 military and police officers have been drafted in for the Olympics, the country's largest deployment ever.
The organizers of the Olympic Games hope to put all those issues behind them once the world-class athletes from all around the world walk through the doors of Maracana Stadium for the opening ceremony of the 31st Summer Olympics. Shin Se-min, Arirang News, Rio de Janeiro.
And Korean supporters are sparing no efforts to ensure Team Korea has the best shot at gold. Our Park Jong-won shows there are some creature comforts from home guaranteed to provide the athletes the boost they need.
Korea's judo athletes have joined the rest of Team Korea in Rio. Unlike others who came all the way from Korea on flights that took almost 24 hours, the judo team hopped off an hour-long flight from Sao Paulo and looked in top shape. They had gotten a head start with on-location training and have been practicing their moves in nearby Sao Paulo for the past 10 days. Korea has typically been a judo powerhouse, and hopes are high the athletes will bring home at least 2 gold medals.
In Sao Paulo, there were Korean restaurants and we had no problems. Coming to Brazil early did wonders in regards to adjusting to the time difference.
Getting acclimated to the weather, local conditions, and especially food are considered to be the key in bringing out the best from the athletes. To satisfy their palates, Korea House, a restaurant and resting place for the national sportsmen and women, opened nearby the athletes' village. It's only 15 minutes away by car and serves up Korean dishes the athletes are used to.
At the athletes' village, I used to have salad and a sandwich, but here I can have food just the way I like it back home. So this helps me work out even harder.
Officials say 14 cooks and staff and over 5 tons of Korean food materials have been brought to the restaurant. The behind-the-scenes support is expected to help Korea's Olympic athletes go all out in Rio. Park Jong-hong, Arirang News.
Over in the UK, a knife-wielding attacker kills 1 and injures at least 5 others. According to the Metropolitan Police, the 19-year-old male suspect was arrested after the incident, which took place in Russell Square at around 10:30 p.m. Wednesday local time. A woman in her 60s was treated at the scene but later was pronounced dead. Police have yet to determine a motive, but the statement said, quote, terrorism is one possibility being explored at this stage. The BBC reports, however, the suspect's mental health was also a significant factor. The incident happened just hours after London police announced more officers will be armed following the recent terror attacks in Europe. It was another scorcher for Korea, with most parts of the country under either a heat wave advisory or warning. And these blazing hot conditions are further intensified by a weather phenomenon known as urban heat island. Our Shin explains further.
It was a day of lighter clothes, and fans were a must-have item. But no matter what people did, the blazing conditions on Thursday seemed to have taken over the streets and dominated all aspects of daily life. Already expected to be the hottest day this year so far, the Korea Meteorological Administration issued heat wave warnings for the capitals Seoul, Daejeon, Daegu, and Gyeonggi-do province.
And according to its weather forecast, the temperature should rise up to 36 degrees Celsius today in Seoul at its highest. But as you can see right now, it's at 41 degrees Celsius in the middle of the city.
This effect is known as the urban heat island and refers to the area in a city that registers significantly higher temperatures than its surrounding suburb areas due to human activities. The UHI is generally triggered by the concentration of high buildings. In particular, the materials used to build skyscrapers, such as concrete and metal, absorb heat during the day. When the heat is then re-radiated, it can linger in the area for longer periods of time, causing continuous tropical nights throughout the season. With the weather already alarmingly hot this year, taking the necessary precautions to avoid heat-related diseases, such as heat stroke, is of utmost importance.
I can't believe how hot it is right now. I just feel so tired and weary by just stepping out for a couple of hours during the day.
With the weather agency expecting sweltering conditions to continue for the rest of the week, experts are recommending residents, especially the elderly, to stay hydrated and avoid outdoor activities if possible during the day. Shin, Arirang News.
That concludes our newscast for this hour. Thank you for watching.